Hey there, boys and girls. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Addicted to Gear. I'm pretty happy. I got a smile on my face. Why? Because I'm holding another guitar. This is a Bacchus Universe model, and it's a sweet playing and sweet sounding guitar for not a whole lot of money. And today I want to go over this guitar because maybe there's a few of you out there that don't know the Bacchus line, haven't heard of Bacchus before, and I want to give you the lowdown so you could take advantage of these great deals just like I did. I came across this guitar locally, and to be honest with you, before I picked it up, I didn't really know a whole lot about Bacchus. They make guitars in Japan and in China. This is a China model. It's not a Japanese one. So I want to make that clear from the start. Now, they're getting a lot more popular for the quality of their Japanese models, and there's a lot of people snagging them up because they think they're great quality. Now, when I came across this one, to be honest with you, I wasn't even sure if it was a Japanese model or a Chinese model because there's no indication on the guitar that it is a Chinese model. I know now, after doing some research, that the Japanese models actually indicate the fact that it's made in Japan on the back of the headstock. And this model doesn't have that. Also, the Japanese versions have a truss rod cover that only has 2 screws. This one has 3. So it's similar to what Tokai is doing. Tokai does the same thing. Their Chinese models are using 3 screws over the truss rod, and they don't really write the fact that it's made in China, I think, but they do indicate that it's made in Japan. So to me, Bacchus falls into the same category as Edwards, Bernie, Tokai, those type of brands. Why? Because those brands basically have gotten popular by making copies of American-made guitars. So Strats, Telecasters, the Gibson Les Paul. Now, that being said, the big question is, what do you get for your money? Okay, so this guitar, brand new, I don't know how much they actually sell for. Okay, I bought this used, and I could tell you it came with a case and it was a steal. A lot less expensive than an Epiphone. I'd say probably around the same price as a Chinese Gibson Les Paul copy that you'd find floating around. Now, why did I buy this guitar when I didn't know much about it? Well, first of all, the top. Look at this thing. I mean, honestly, who couldn't resist a top that looks as good as this one? The wood looks fantastic. It has beautiful flame on it. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's beautiful, subdued sunburst, but looks awesome. So when I saw this, I did a double take and I said, wow, what is that? You know, and it looked like it was a Gibson at first because the headstock looks like a Gibson as well. The shape of the headstock is almost identical to a Gibson Les Paul, except the little divot in the middle here is not as pronounced. So, but I'd say it's 98% the same shape as a Gibson headstock. And I'm very partial to guitars that are not Gibson that have appointments that are pretty accurate. Often you'll see China-made guitars that have headstocks that are different shapes and don't look very well. And I include Epiphone in that batch because I don't really like the shape of Epiphone headstocks. I'm not knocking the guitars. The guitars are good. I just don't like the headstock. And often you'll see things like a different shape for the cutout here. Sometimes they'll be more pointy or shorter, or the body is just out of whack a little bit. This one isn't. This one is pretty much bang on to what you would get with a Gibson. So I was pretty happy about that. So after doing some quick research, I realized that there wasn't a whole lot of information on these Chinese models. There was more information on the Japanese versions, but not that many on the Chinese. So I figured I'd take one for the team, pick up the guitar, and review it for you guys and give you the lowdown. So what do you get for your money? Honestly, you're getting a whole lot. I have no regrets so far about buying this guitar. After playing it for a while, I can honestly say that it's great value. I mean, I've been playing the shit out of this guitar just because it's so fun to play. So what makes it different from my Tokais and my Gibson Les Paul? Well, basically, not a whole lot, and that's a good thing. But the neck itself is where things get a little different. The width of the neck is pretty much bang on to a Gibson guitar. Though the front to back depth of the neck is a lot slimmer. And that's where I was pretty happy with this guitar, because it's not the same as my other guitars. My other guitars tend to be a little bit more beefy, and this is more slim. So it's really a pleasure to play this neck. It just feels great in my hands, easy to play. I'm not struggling with the neck or fighting it. And it resonates so well, even unplugged. The notes just sustain. And it's got a really nice resonance. It has a nice woody sound. And it's pretty loud for a guitar that's unplugged, in my opinion, compared to some other guitars that I've played anyways. So the guitar, the way it's put together, fit and finish, no complaints. There's nothing that I found on this guitar that that bothered me. I didn't have to level the fretboard. There's no glue joints that are messy. The inlays, although they're not real mother of pearl, they are the same shape as a Gibson, but they're plastic. But the way they're fit in to the neck is bang on. You know, I've seen real Gibsons that have like glue around the inlays because the inlays were cut too large or too small. These are bang on. Now the neck has frets that are, I'd say, medium size frets, and the frets go over the trim on the sides of the neck, and they're not notched out like Gibson is. So that means that if you, eventually when you have to change your frets, the job is a lot easier. You don't have to like file off the nibs and you know, make any modifications. So it becomes a lot easier to do that. Everything else is pretty much standard Gibson in terms of layout. 2 volume, 2 tone. There's no fancy switching on this guitar. There's no push-pull knobs. It's standard pots all around. The pickup switch is a 3-way switch, typical. So you have bridge, both of the pickups, neck. The quality of the hardware is pretty much on par with what you'd get from Gibson. The only thing I changed was the nut, because the original nut was not a bone nut. It was a synthetic plastic, and I didn't feel it was cut very well. So I decided to splurge and upgrade, and I installed myself a bone nut. And I'm still kind of tweaking that, but it's pretty much almost there. Other than that, I mean, the string height was very easy to set up. I like my action a little on the low side, even though I strum pretty hard. There was no fretting out on the bending. There's no buzzing on the frets. So I don't know if the previous owner was a stickler and maybe he had it set up really well. But if this is what you're getting out of the box, then I'm pretty impressed. As I mentioned, the pickups are not original. These are Duncan / pickups, which are Alnico 2s. And the previous owner upgraded to these pickups, so I kept them in. And although they sound good, I'm a stickler for a more vintage sound. And specifically in the neck, I always like the neck to be a little bit more open and to have a note definition, clear note definition. And I don't like any muddiness in the neck. So I would say these pickups are kind of on the verge of, you know, being what I want, but they might eventually be replaced with something else. The bridge pickup definitely is punchy and cuts very nicely. So I'm keeping them in for now. But overall, it's the neck that really makes me want to play this guitar. And it really does play really nice. The back of the body is mahogany, so is the neck. The routing for the controls, typical Gibson. I wouldn't be surprised if regular Gibson covers fit this thing, because it looks the same to me. The way the body is put together in the back is very, very clean. To me, this is a 2-piece body. I looked very carefully trying to find additional glue joints to see if there was like maybe a 4-piece body, because sometimes on the cheaper imports they'll use a whole bunch of wood and just glue it together. This, as far as I can tell, is only 2 pieces, and you can really only see it, and you have to really look hard. Just underneath where the strap lock button is there, you'll see where the joint is, but you can't really tell it if you look at it like this. It's very well matched, very clean, and I don't know if the top is solid or not. If it's not a solid top, then they use a really nice piece of veneer, but I can't really tell because I didn't actually look and see. I didn't remove the pickups. So you have to remove the pickups to take a look to see if the top is a solid maple slab or not. If it is a solid maple slab, then I'm sold. You know, I think the guitar is great, but even if it isn't, it sounds great. To me, I don't see any issues with this guitar the way it's put together. I've seen imports and Chinese copies that are done very badly, and you can see that when the glue joints are lined up, often on the cheap Chinese copies, they'll be out of whack. They won't even be centered. And you can tell that it's centered if you look and it's lined up to where the strings get put in here. You have 6 strings, so it should be really centered with the middle 2 holes. And this is bang on. It's like perfect. You know, and these are things that I looked for when I bought this guitar. The tuners are regular Kluson type tuners, and I like these. Some people don't like them. I like the vintage tuners. I just find that they look like they give you more mojo. Now, when I say that they're Kluson style, I say that because I don't know if they're real Kluson tuners. They look like they are, but it's hard to tell. And all you get in the back is a 5-digit serial number and nothing else. So that's basically the guitar in a nutshell. And like I said, guys, I'm super stoked about this guitar. I think I got a really great deal, also considering that the pickups were upgraded, so you know, I'm getting more value there. I can't really talk about the pickups, and that's why I'm not really playing the guitar right now, because I don't want people to say like, oh, you're playing the guitar but it's not like, it doesn't make sense because it's not the original pickups, you know. So if you guys want me to play these pickups for you in this guitar, I'll do that in a follow-up video for sure, if you want to hear what the Slash pickups sound like in this guitar. I think they sound a little bit dark in this guitar personally, and I usually like more brighter, more open sounding pickups. But like I said, for now, I'll keep them in. We'll see what happens in the future. But as far as playability, this guitar rocks. Fit and finish, 2 thumbs up. Price, amazing price. So quality, bang for the buck. I'd say if you find one of these that you like, go for it. I have no qualms about this guitar at all. I've compared it to my other guitars and it really holds its own. There's nothing really worse about this guitar compared to the other ones. It's just a little different in terms of the neck, but it plays great. It plays wonderfully. So Bacchus has impressed me, and if the Chinese versions are this good, I will believe the hype when people tell me that how good the Japanese versions are, because I'm blown away by the quality on this guitar. And I'd easily pick up another one if I find one, for sure. So that's it, guys. I mean, that's the guitar. And if you have information on this guitar, or if you want to get more information from me, just leave your comments below. I'm always answering my comments. And if you know specifically if this top is a solid top, as opposed to a veneer, let me know. I'd be interested in learning that and getting the lowdown. And I could, if I do get that information, I'll post it for you guys, for anybody interested in sharing that information as well. So that's it. In the meantime, guys, I want you to stay tuned. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, you guys know what to do. Hit the little subscribe button. If you want to be notified when I post another video like this, just hit the little bell. That will give you a little notification to tell you that Addicted to Gear has uploaded a new video, and you can come here and watch it so you don't miss any of the good stuff. There's going to be a few more surprises for you. I have a few more guitars in store that I want to review for you that I haven't done yet. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be coming up shortly as well. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon.